How's it going, guys? This is Mike coming back at you with shallow reefing. Of course, the ATO kicks on right when I start this. I'm gonna keep it in there. It's hilarious because everyone knows that your ATO comes on at the exact wrong time when you want it to come on when you're trying to film or take pictures. Anyway, I want to do an overview of my 40-gallon sump. I made this sump back in 2016, right when I got this tank. I took out the previous sump, which was just a 20-gallon or 29-gallon aquarium, and I figured the 40-gallon breeder would be a much better fit, which it is. But I did tons of mistakes on the sump since it was the first time I've ever built a sump, and it kind of didn't go as well as I'd want to. So probably in the future I will be changing out and going to a different sump when I have my future build. So, do a quick overview of the sump. We have water up here that comes down the overflow and down to the pipe into a socket, 4-inch filter sock. And right now, I am running just a simple mesh filter sock because I don't really need the 200 micron sock right now. Now with the tank itself, I set it up where I have it all filtered down through here, and then it gets filtered in through the skimmer, and there's also a UV sterilizer, one of those submergible ones back in the back. I mean, I don't think it really does anything. And then it comes up and down and through this filter basket. Now this filter basket is actually a pretty good idea. I have a bunch of pond matrix in it, and I have carbon and GFO that I run in it. Carbon's probably expired, so next water change I will probably have to change it out. And then it runs through here, which is a big refugium section. Now one of the problems with my refugium section is it doesn't really get a lot of turnover and flow in it, so the flow is kind of stagnant. Now what I did to help with the lighting, since I had some of those cheap LEDs, I got one of these black box lights. Now I had it because I had it on my tank before I switched over to my nice Kessel and T5 and Radion hybrid fixture. It went out, all the blues went out on it, and I was going to pitch it, but I decided to keep it, and luckily I did because it fits perfectly here and gets a really nice spectrum for growing all this Kato. As you can see, I kind of need to clean that out. I'll probably clean it out one day, just not now. Now over here, we drop it down to the little overflow section where it's like a bubble trap, and I put a pad in there. Let's see if you can see it. There we go. So one of those coarse filter pads is in there to catch all of the detritus from going over the bubble trap and going up through the return pump. Now the return pump is a J-Bow DC8000, and I only have that running at about not even 50%. Now I only have it running at 50% because it's just kicking out tons of water. So you can see right here, I have it teed off to go into the 10-gallon tank, which is sitting to my right. And then a lot of you might notice this pipe here. This is the return, well, from the 10-gallon tank. Now granted, it doesn't go through all the filtration, it kind of just kicks back right back to the return chamber, but it doesn't really need to be filtered that much because I have no fish in there right now. You can see I have a Tunes osmolator back there. Love that thing. It has never failed me, and like I've had that for 5 years, almost since I started the hobby. One of the best purchases I've ever made. So running the sump as far as heating is concerned, you can see up here I have a 150 watt and a 300 watt Phoenix titanium heater. Now I did 300 and 150 just because, well, I didn't want to do two 200s because I didn't, have them available to me, so I don't know why. I just had a 300, and I felt like redundancy purposes I might want to throw a 150 in there because it kind of gets a little cold in the winter. Don't keep the house too warm, but you know, being in Tennessee in the south, it really doesn't get that cold. So in the summer, these things almost never kick on. Now, as far as any type of live rock or anything, I have a bunch of live rock and rubble in here, as you can see. So as far as biological filtration, I got some marine pure spheres and a Brightwell brick. Now, for me, I don't really run high nitrates or phosphates. I actually kind of dose some potassium nitrate just to kind of keep the nitrates up a little bit, since, I mean, you can see my skimmer. It's, you know, doing a really good job right now. But I haven't really noticed any, like, significant reduction in nitrates and phosphates. I'm not going to take any of the Brightwell or the Marine Pure out, or Sea Chem Pond Matrix out. Man, I really do have a lot of biological filtration in here. I just realized that. But I'm not going to take any of that out, just because I just don't want to make the system unstable at the moment. And then finally, all my dosing is done by this dosing pump. It is a DP4. I kind of made this little bracket with shelf just to you know, make it a little bit cleaner and have it above the water line. And this has done really well. I've noticed a huge difference in my reef tank ever since I started from switching over from Kalkwassar to 2-part, just because of the stability and how it's consistently always dosing. Now with my calc, when it was in the ATO, sometimes in the summer we'd have more evaporation, sometimes in the winter we'd have less, or just kind of depended on the day, what the temperature was out there. And I noticed it didn't lead to the most stable levels. But for this, it's always there, it's always dosing the same amount, and I don't really have any you know, concerns with it. Now, as far as acrylic pieces go, I do have some acrylic that I typically lay right here to help with evaporation and any splashing, because I don't want it on my lights. And I do have an acrylic sheet right across here. And then I do put these acrylic pieces on top of the skimmer, just because, you know, you can see you're not really supposed to have your apex underneath your tank, but I do, because I don't want to house it anywhere else. Now with the apex, don't want any splashing on it, because, you know, it's like $1,000 worth of equipment up in here. So I kind of cover that, make sure I don't have any overflows, any spills, and everything's good. I've never had a problem with it, but, you know, just want to be safe rather than sorry. And this is one of the older apexes. Let's see, you can kind of see it down there. Yep, there it is. It's the Apex Orange box. I've been running that for like 4 years too. Got it secondhand, and you know, it's working. It's doing its job. Saved me about 2 times in my life where I found out my pumps had stopped and seized up because the parameters were looking way too stable. But overall, that is the sump, and I will be coming back later with an overview from the upper part of the tank, where I'm going over the different things that I'm running up there, different equipment, and all that fun stuff. So I'll see you guys next time.